leader and leading expert on the intersectionality of gender-based violence and the economic empowerment of women in sub-Saharan Africa. A trained English barrister and American lawyer, her work has been featured on multiple national and international news outlets, and she has received numerous awards recognizing her expertise, which she lends as a strategist, advisor, and consultant to organizations, as well as state, national, and international governments. Next, please. An activist, published writer, researcher, podcaster, and speaker, Ms. Benson-Idahosa also serves as an identity coach and guide, helping others awaken to their divinity. For more information, please visit rebidahosa.com, follow at rebidahosa, or email rebidahosa@gmail.com. With a warm welcome, let's make Ms. Idahosa, let's give her a very warm welcome, Path to Success Conference. Let's give her a very warm welcome. You're welcome, ma'am. It's my pleasure and honor to have you here today. The floor is yours.
There we go. All right. Good morning. I'm not sure where everybody is dialing in from. Good morning. I am currently in Benin City.
Excited to have you here.
I am so honored.
Seeing you face to face. Not face to face per se, but it's an honor, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be here. If you could please make me the co-host so that I can share my screen.
Okay, so I'll just let me go.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm not sure where everybody is. I'm in Benin City at the moment.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm constantly on the move, but I am so honored that we could find the time to be able to do this, to share with you and your community things that have been a blessing to me over the years in my own personal life. So let me just have a moment. Just take a moment.
Yeah, you can share your screen now.
Okay.
I'll have to mute you.
Okay, so let me know when you're able to see. All right, let me know when you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see 15 in 14.
All right, and you can hear me well, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. So yes, once again, I'm Rantiade Benson-Idahosa. I'm the founder and executive director of Pathfinders Justice Initiative, but I'm also a lawyer. And as we noted in the intro, I wear multiple hats. But today I am here in my own personal capacity as a guide, as someone who has had a breadth of experiences in my own personal life, and want to just share with you 15 lessons I've learned in my 49 amazing years here on the earth. So I've titled this 15 Untold Life's Truths for Personal Growth and Development. I hope they are a blessing to you. Hopefully some of these things you have encountered in your own personal lives. But I hope that perhaps they might give you a different perspective, perhaps something fresh to think about as you listen today. So here, let's dive in. And I don't mind questions. So if there's something that you need some clarification about, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand, and we will proceed in that manner. All right, so lesson number 1 is stop watering dead plants. Ejo, as we say in Yoruba land, my mom is partially Yoruba, so I learned a couple of things here and there. Please, Laho, as we say in Benin, pardon, as we say perhaps in French, for those who might be French speaking. The first lesson is stop watering dead plants. And what do I mean by that? Every year I conduct an assessment in my own personal life of the closest people to me, right? And it used to be that I used to do this every 5 years, and I moved down to every 3 years, and finally now I'm just every single year. And the reason why this is so important is because if you show me the 5 closest friends that you have, I can tell you exactly who you are. I can tell you the direction of your life. I can tell you where you are heading, where you have come from. And I can tell you what your potential could likely be. And that's because the people that you surround yourself with, the people that are in your inner circle, as we say in Benin, my mom says, people we don't see your inside teeth, right? These people are the ones who have the influence on your own mind, right? So the direction that they're going is likely the direction that you are going, because birds of a feather, there is a lot of truth to that. Birds of a feather flock together. So are these relationships that you have outgrown? Are these people that were intended to be in your life for just a particular season, but you have now extended their stay as if you are you are now in long-term reservation hotel? It's important that you are discerning, right? So that you're not investing your energy, right, into relationships that you should have moved on from, because these people will take up space in your life, and that time could be better invested in people that are potentially life-giving to you, people whose presence in your life allows you to be present, right, in your own personal life. And so that's something that I want us to take some time to think about. What are the dead plants in your life that you are still watering, that really should have been seasonal relationships that you need to move on from and redirect that energy into other spaces? The second lesson that I'd like to share with you is that we have to stop expecting ourselves from other people, right? Just because you do things a certain way doesn't mean that that is exactly how somebody else is going to do it. Because the truth is that most people don't actually see the world as it is. They see the world as they are. Right? They see it through their own experiences, through their own hurts, through their own joys, through their own traumas. And so the way that they see life, right, could be potentially very different from yours. And the sooner you're able to catch this, trust me, this thing has given me several buzzwords in my own personal life, because sometimes I think that, oh, but I do things this way. I expect everybody to be kind. I expect everybody to be loving. I expect you that if I'm kind to you, if I show you a nice gesture, that you will reciprocate that to me. And so one of the things we have to be really mindful about avoiding here is judging the character of other people simply because they are not who you are. And so it's important that we're recognizing this, right? And not holding people to an expectation that they may not even be prepared or capable of being able to ascend to. And so this will cause you, trust me, a lot less frustration if you are able to be mindful of this fact that nobody is like me. I am uniquely created, right? And I am a different individual that holds up a different space. And so when you allow yourself to recognize this, it actually makes your life a lot easier and less frustrating. The next truth that I like to share with you is that you have to start to trust the divinity within you more, right? And this is something I think that takes practice, right? You have to stop believing and start knowing. And there, I always make a distinction between the two, because when you believe something, it is knowledge that is external to you, right? It's something that somebody potentially told you. And the example I always like to use is, 2 plus 2 is 4. How do I know that personally? I don't know, this is just what they taught me in school. And so I believe that 2 plus 2 is 4. But when you have an inherent knowing, when you know something deep within yourself, it means that you have had divine contact. You've had conscious contact with that thing, right? So it's sort of like riding a bicycle. No one can tell you how to ride a bicycle. They can try to tell you, right? But until you actually get on the bicycle and you learn how to balance yourself on the bicycle, you're not actually going to be able to say that I know how to ride a bicycle. Same thing like being in the swimming pool. People can give you lessons. You can stand outside of the pool and be learning, okay, do your hand like this, do your hand like this. Oh yeah, do backstroke, front stroke, side, this. But until you actually get into the water and make conscious contact with the thing, you will not know about it. And so that's the same way you have to get to know the divinity within yourself. You have to spend the time to understand, okay, what does the divine sound like to me? Right? There were points in my life when the voice of God used to sound like just somebody else, like a man's voice. Let me tell you how it all started. It used to sound like the voice of a man. And then the spirit of the voice of the divine at one point actually took my mother's voice. And then now, as I've gotten older and I've made more conscious contact, the voice of God actually sounds like me. And so when I hear the voice of God in my spirit, as many of us do, I hear my own voice. And that is because I have come to a space where I now know the voice of God like this. When the scripture says that, when Christ says that I and the Father are one, right? It means that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, right? And so that relationship is what then starts to guide the things and the decisions that you make in your own life, because that divinity within you already knows what to do, right? Many of us are looking for answers external from us, right? You're lost. You're like, how do I know? How do I know what to do? When you have direct access, you actually have direct access if you would take the time to develop that relationship. And so listen for that still small voice, right? And it's accompanied, that voice is always accompanied by this knowing. There's a peace, there's a calm that comes with it, right? There's not, many people that have gone for prophetic utterances in Nigeria, sometimes, when you're hearing other people external from yourself telling you what God is saying, sometimes that creates fear within you. And that's one always sure sign that that's not the voice of God. There should be a peace, there should be a grounded knowing within yourself. You should be able to, it should essentially, and this is important, it should essentially just resonate as something that you already know within yourself. Any external word that you get from anybody should always already match what you know to be true within yourself. And so start to trust that divinity that is already alive within you. Number 4 is accept what is. Accept what is. Accept what is. I can't stress this one enough. Accept the things that you cannot change. Right? If somebody has walked out of a relationship with you, if somebody has passed away, if you have lost your job, you got fired from your job, accept it. Accept it, right? Because if there's something that you can do to change something, then absolutely do something to change it. Because the truth is that when you fail to accept something, you prolong your delusion about it, right? And ultimately that leads to even more suffering because you are resisting the reality. And I think this is important because if you're trusting the divinity, which was point 3, you understand that all things are always working for your good. You understand that regardless of what has happened in this moment, ultimately it's going to work out for my good. There is going to be a benefit for this situation that has happened. And so the resistance when you're pushing back and you're saying, I can't believe this thing. I can't believe you are not only increasing your level of suffering, that ultimately is increasing the amount of stress that you're creating within your own body. And we all know that ultimately leads to disease. And so the sooner you can just accept what is and say to yourself, you know what? peace, be still. This is all going to work out for my good. The quicker you are actually able to move on from that space in a way that is healthy. Number 5, are you the common denominator? Are you the common denominator? It's, and this one I think is hard for a lot of people to understand because, it's very easy to always point fingers at somebody. Always easy to say, look, it's because of this person. Is this because of this thing that happened? Da, 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 da. But when you recognize, right, that that you are the common denominator in all of these relationships where something always seems to happen, right? You go from one relationship to another, and they always end the same way. You see patterns in your life, right? And what you have to realize is that it's not necessarily all the people that are coming into your life. You are the person that is in these same relationships. And so it's important that you pause, take a moment to be introspective, to reflect upon your own thoughts. What is it that I'm presenting in this relationship that seems to be creating a pattern, right? And understanding who you are is the first step to, oh, sorry, I think I may have skipped. Let me go back here, sorry. Understanding who you are is the first step to actually recognizing that. But the reoccurring problem cannot be everyone else when you are the common denominator. So it's important that you take ownership, take responsibility, right, for change, because if you don't do that, you will continue to repeat these patterns wherever you go. And so be mindful of that. It's important that you're showing up enough so that you are present enough to be able to recognize the patterns. And that requires a level of emotional regulation, but it also requires a level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Number 6, to thy own self be true, right? And this is something that we hear all the time. But how often are you actually showing up as 100% of yourself, right? Again, this starts with your identity. So my identity, my last name is Benson-Idahosa. It's a common name that, many people are familiar with, right? And so a lot of my identity is built. It precedes me actually sometimes, because I can walk into a room and people who have heard of my father, people have heard of my mother, will make certain judgments about who I am, right? But I'm not Benson-Idahosa. I'm not Margaret-Idahosa. I am myself, Rantiade Benson-Idahosa, and I do things in my own unique way, right? My authenticity is something that will never be negotiated. And so if you're expecting Benson-Idahosa from me, you might be disappointed, because there are perhaps some aspects of him that you will see within me, but I am divinity, right? I am connected to the divine. And so I do myself a disservice, and I do the world a disservice when I show up as anybody less than that, right? And so when you're coming to life dressed as somebody else, it's false advertising, right? Because you're essentially saying, look, accept this person for who I am not, right? And there's only so long that you can put up that facade, because eventually the mask is going to come down and somebody is going to, madam, let me see under your shirt, and something will be exposed. So it's important that you just take the time to get to know who you are, get to understand who your identity is, particularly as it is connected to the divine, as it is connected to God, to spirit, to source, and start to show up as that person. Because the more authentic you are, you will start to recognize that your power lies in your authenticity. Nobody else can do this thing the way that you will be able to do it, right? You have a unique creative energy, right? That is, when it's coupled with service, becomes your life's purpose. And so it's important that you are true to yourself, because what you end up doing then is imitating somebody else, and you become a lesser, smaller version of who you were intended to be. All right, lesson number 7, priority matters, right? And this is something I think is usually when I say it, some people have a hard time receiving it, because, we've been told that, oh, when I'm in a relationship, whether it's a platonic relationship or it's a relationship with a partner, right, that person I should make them my priority, and then they should make me their priority. And if we're both making each other our priorities, then the relationship will be perfectly balanced. But I disagree with that. I believe that in a healthy relationship, your partner should serve as your inspiration, right? But never your consistent priority. Your consistent priority in a healthy relationship should always be you and your life's calling. People find that hard to swallow because to me, when I say things like it's important to be self-centered, right? It's important that you take the time to be full of yourself, right? Because once you are self-centered, once you understand that, okay, I am the center of this thing, it means that you are taking responsibility for how you as a person affect the rest of the world. It means that when you're in a healthy centering, let me make sure that's clear. When you're healthily centered, it means that you are grounded. It means that you're aware of what's happening around you. It means that you are making choices, making decisions that are important for the way that life flows from you. It means that you're embodying love. It means that you're embodying peace. It means that you're embodying joy. And so when you make the most important and best decision for yourself, automatically that decision is the best for everybody else, right? So if I'm making a choice for myself and I'm in a relationship with a partner, and I'm coming from a space of knowing groundedness, a space of health, right? A space of joy, a space of understanding that my identity is tied to the divine, and that everything that divine is, I am, right? That means I am love, I am peace, I am hope, I am joy, I am everything that God is, right? When I come from that space and I make a decision and I make a choice, it automatically is a good choice for you as well. And so in healthy relationships, it's important that you prioritize, right, you and your life's calling, right? When you both do this, so when I'm doing this and when my partner is also doing this, when my friend is also doing this, when my sister is also doing this, we both come from a space of overflow, right? And so the goodness within us then starts to overflow to everybody else. And so let me just be clear, though, that there may be seasons when you do need to make the other person the priority. If somebody is going through an illness, if someone is going through a loss, if someone is suffering in some way, it's important that you have compassion, right? Compassion comes from the Latin word compassio, which means to enter in, to suffer with that person. And so there may be seasons where you do have to prioritize the other person in that relationship, whether it's platonic or whether it's a romantic relationship. But that should not be the consistent reality of your life for all the reasons that I just noted. Lesson number 8 is discern your teammates. And this is the lesson that I learned from my father, watching my father's life. Not everyone that is dressed in your uniform is prepared to play on your team. People just they show up as if they are there. They are not there. They are not there. It's important that you are discerning who has been called to journey with you, right? And if you're able to do that self-assessment that we talked about a few lessons ago, if you're able to take a look at the people that you're surrounding yourself with, you will then be able to understand the people that are actually on your team, right? So it's important that you are judging wisely, right? Using discernment, which is one of the underrated leadership skills that I talk about. If you follow me, you've probably heard me talk about this. It's important that you discern, and to discern is the ability to replicate the mind of God on the earth. It's actually being able to determine the better from the best, not just the good from the better, right? But the better from the best. And so that's what discernment is, right? That's how when you surround yourself with people, or when you're surrounded by a lot of people, it's important that you are using your discernment, which is universal intelligence, right? To be able to know who's actually on your team. And the way that you can actually do this is through meditation. It's through prayer. Sometimes I'll pause and I'll meet somebody. And sometimes, you know how when you meet somebody, you're like, there's something about this person, but many of us don't take the time to actually figure out what it is about that person. And so in meditation, what I do is I say, God, this person has shown up in my life. They seem to have good qualities, but what is the purpose of this person in my life in this moment? And when you spend that time, when you're able to still yourself, when you're able to get to that space of groundedness, what you will get is an experiential knowing. Right. And what I mean by an experiential knowing is that there will be some truth, some revelation that will be revealed to you that it feels as if you know it from experience. But you may not necessarily you don't know that person. You literally just met them 5 minutes ago, but there will be something that will be revealed to you that will then amount to an experiential knowing. And so that's why it's important that you're able to still your mind, that you're able to connect with the divinity within you, to be able to discern your teammates. All right, lesson number 9 is to practice gratitude. Life rewards gratitude, right? We know from research that anybody who spends enough time in gratitude every morning, every afternoon, every evening, however you want to space it out. For me, what I try to do is do at least 15 minutes of gratitude 3 times a day. I literally will just stop. I will just pause. What am I grateful for in this moment? And I will pause and I will just start to think. In my office at 2 o'clock every day, we all pause, meditation time. From 2 to 2:05, everybody pauses. And you just take a moment to think of the things in your life that you're grateful for, because what that does is that it starts to dispel regret, right? And regret is the greatest killer of joy and gratitude. When you're able to pause and give gratitude, what it does is that it takes you from a posture of what you don't have, right, to a perspective of being able to be grateful for the bountiful things that are in your life, for the things, for the fact that life is actually benevolent towards us. It changes your perspective so that you're able to then recognize that, okay, I may not have everything that I want, but look where I've come from. I'm no longer what I used to be. And when you start to think about all of these things, it actually chemically changes your body. It has been proven, scientifically proven, that gratitude can actually boost your immune system. And these are things that, I don't think that many of us are knowledgeable about. In some ways, you would think it's common knowledge, right? But these are things that when you start to recognize, you will want to spend time in gratitude, right? When you realize that your stress levels start to decrease, that your immune system is going up, you will start to just take time every single day. For me, it's when I set my intention in the morning, 8 o'clock every morning. I set my intention for the day. Who do I want to show up as today? How do I want to sound today? What do I want to be? Sorry, can you hear me?
There's a network glitch from my end. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
No.
I can hear you. Can everybody else hear me as speaking? Hello,
Yes,
testing,
yes, I
testing.
guess it's. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So that was lesson number 9. In everything, give gratitude for the benevolence that abounds towards you. Lesson number 10 is never allow blind people to proofread your vision. Never allow blind people to proofread your vision. If you are going somewhere, and you're heading in a certain direction, and somebody that is blind, that cannot even see where you're going, you're not telling them, please give me direction. Tell me exactly where, which way to be heading. That is one way to show failure, right? So my father was a great example of this. God would speak something to him, go and build a university, right? As an example. And he would come back, he would just, tell his team, oh, we're building this land right here. There's going to be a university here in 2 years. And people around him, the naysayers, would be looking at him like, where's the money coming to build this university? Where are you getting all this information from? But because he had a grounded knowing, because he had made conscious contact with the divine, he knew what God had spoken to him, right? And so it's important that you are not taking a vision that God has given you and allowing somebody else who did not see, who does not know, who has not been in that space with you of your connectedness to God to now start telling you or not telling you how this thing will unravel. And so these are people with whom your values, your goals, your objectives are not necessarily aligned. That's what we mean by them being blind, right? They don't see where you're going. They don't know what direction. They don't have the institutional knowledge, meaning that they've not been with you. They don't know what God has brought you through, right? They don't have that institutional knowledge about your own personal life. They may be jealousy. There may be people who are, we refer to sometimes as dream killers, right? These are people who are not aligned with the direction that you're heading in. And so those are not the people that you want to start, giving you advice and asking for feedback. Never allow blind people to proofread your vision. Number 11, allow negative emotions to pass through you, right? Research has proven that when we hold on to negativity, when we hold on to anger, unforgiveness, even shame and guilt, right? It actually has a worse effect on us, right? And it can result in disease in our bodies. In Nigeria, we hear all the time, this person just slumped, but they're 40-something years old, they're 50 years old. What do you mean that they just slumped? And that's because a lot of times we actually are dealing with high blood pressure, with stress, with things that we are not processing, right? So if something happens, I have a situation where, I end up becoming angry, right? Instead of allowing the emotion to pass through me, you acknowledge it, right? Okay, I'm angry, but recognize again that you have the power to respond and not necessarily just react. You have the power within you to say, okay, look, this thing has made me angry, but now I have a choice. What will I do with this anger, right? Recognize it, acknowledge it, because the emotion does need to be acknowledged. You need to validate that emotion, right? And recognize that it's present, right? We're not talking about being in denial. Let's not be denying that this thing happened or that it's real. So acknowledge it, right? But allow it to pass through you, right? Make a choice, and that's a conscious choice. It's a decision, right? And the way that you can do that as the anger is sitting in your mind, I can't believe this person did, I cannot believe this, how can you is to start to operate in gratitude. Interestingly enough, because you're sitting with the anger, and gratitude is a way to dispel it. I mean, it automatically, you just start to think, okay, well, look, yes, this person has made me angry, but okay, what are the things I'm grateful for? What can I find to be grateful for in this moment? What lessons is this thing teaching me in this moment? And those lessons are in and of themselves reasons to be grateful, right? And so what you need to start to do, and what we can start to do within ourselves, is don't allow the emotion to take root within you. Because once it takes roots within you, then you take it along with you, right? Then it starts to just sit in your body, right? And if you don't process that emotion, that's what then leads to what we talked about earlier: high blood pressure, headaches. And another key, in addition to practicing gratitude when you're sitting with negative emotion, is to start to think about things that are pure, that are just, that are lovely, that are of good report. The scriptures implore us to think about these things. When the word there, think, refers to meditate upon these things. And when you can start to think of things that are honest, things that are just, things that are pure, things that are lovely, that anger has no alternative but to find its way through you.
Absolutely.
Right? So allow negative emotions to pass through you, because you're not doing anybody any services. You're actually hurting and harming yourself. Number 12 is pause for yellow flags. Many of us are looking for red flags all the time. What are the red flags? Red flags. This person is a glaring red flag. But sometimes there are yellow flags, right? There are things, and these are things that that can often be signs of what is to come, right? It might be somebody telling you, oh, please you don't need to be talking to your family members anymore. All you need is me. I am the love of your life. That's all you need. Just focus on me. I am and that could potentially be somebody who has narcissistic tendencies, right? Somebody who is manipulative, who is going to be able to, who is going to try to control you at some point. There's something else, another example I put here is love bombing. When somebody is just constantly, you just met them last week, but they're already constantly talking to you 5, 6, 7 times a day, sending you multiple texts, just, telling you, oh, you are this, you are that, you are this, you are that. There is something that's a little bit unhealthy about that. That's a yellow flag, right? Because a person who is healthy, like I said earlier, is self-centered, right? They are focused on ensuring that they're in a space of health, right? And they're able to give love out, give grace out in a way that is balanced, right? And so it's important that you are pausing and looking out for yellow flags, right? Not just red flags that are glaring. Look for those things that within you, that you pause and you're like, what did you say again? Right? And it's the intuition that's within you. When somebody does or says something, there's automatically like, if you are tuned in, if you are self-aware, there's some certain things that people will say that you're just like, this doesn't make sense. And that might be the Spirit of God within you that says, hey, pause, think about this for a moment. Don't rush into this thing, because there may be something that the Spirit of God wants to reveal to you about that. That's what I refer to as yellow flags. Number 13 is ending well. So when you're leaving a job, when you're leaving a relationship, ensure that you end well, right? Don't create trauma. Don't let your liberation from that thing, right, then create trauma from somebody else, right? So if it's a job, make sure you're giving the requisite notice. Maybe if somebody's telling you, please give me 2 weeks notice, don't just show up one day and just say, today's my last day on the job. That is just, it's so rude. And I think people forget, right, that there's such a thing as karma. Like, what you put out there, what you put out there comes back to you in some way or another, right? Christ says it this way, do unto others, right? How you will have them do unto you. What you sow, you will reap, right? Every day you have a choice. You can make a decision on who you want to be in this world. Are you somebody that is going to reflect love and grace and peace and joy, right? So that whenever anybody has an encounter with you, they have encountered God, right? And so what it means when we say end well, leave things in the same manner in which you would have liked for things to have been left for you. Number 14 is never allow anyone to steal your hope. The scriptures describe hope as the anchor to our souls. It's the one thing that holds you down, gidigba, right? And so when the reference is made in the scriptures to the enemy in John 10:10, but the Bible says the enemy comes to steal, to kill, to destroy. It's not just physically. We're also referring to stealing things like hope, like joy, like peace, right? And so when you lose hope, right, what it does is it shifts your perspective from a space of hoping, of believing for something, right, back to a space of regret. And so it's important that you are guarding your hope and guarding it. I mean, like protecting it, the way that you would protect a small child who is not able yet to discern on their own or to know certain things, right? It's important that you are protecting your hope and guarding it in a way that because it is the anchor, it is the one thing that holds you down and connects you to a vision that you have not yet seen. Right? So you're hoping for something, you're believing for something, you're praying for something, you're trusting for the manifestation of something. Hope is what ties your faith to that thing. And so you need to guard not just your faith, but also guard your hope as well. And finally, number 15 is die empty. And this was something I heard from Miles Monroe. He used to say, die empty. And, Oprah Winfrey refers to it as maxing out your humanity, right? I remember the day that my father passed away, he called my mother and he said that I have done everything that God has called me to do. And my mother said, she said to him, I beg Joe, ask him for more now. But he knew that everything that he had been given to him, everything that God had called him to do, he had deposited in this world, right? And he knew that his time was in this particular realm was done, right? And so it's important that you are living your life mindful of your purpose, right? And I described our purpose earlier as your unique creative energy. It is the one thing that when you combine it with the service of others, then results in purpose. And so deposit everything that has been deposited in you while you are here, right? Start now, write the vision, make it plain, whatever it is, that dream, that hope, that thing that you've been aspiring to do, that longing that you have, that knowing that you have, that is birthed within you, right? You're already pregnant with it, right? You can feel it, you can sense it, but you're thinking to yourself, I no get connection, I no get money, there is something you can start to do today. You can start to write the vision down, because when you start to take steps in the direction of your purpose, when you start to take steps in the direction of your calling, what the universe does, the signal you're sending out to God is that I'm ready. And so the things that you did not have start to manifest. What God starts to do is he starts to bring everything into alignment for the manifestation for you here. But until you start that process, right? Until you move from a space of, I not get, what will I do? How will I know it will work? It might not work. Or what if it, if God put that thing in your heart, right? My old boss used to say, if it's God's will, it's God's bill. If it's God's will, it's God's bill. Let him figure out how he's going to fund it, right? You just show up. You do what you've been called to do. Write the vision, start to, go back to school. What is it that you need to start to do to be able to manifest that thing that God has placed in your heart, right? Because every day that you wait, somebody else that is a benefactor of that thing that God has called you to do is forced to wait. Every day that you delay, somebody else that is a benefactor of that thing that you've been called to do is also forced to delay, right? So make sure that you are dying empty. Let nothing within you be undone. Nothing within you be undone. So those are my 15 lessons, life lessons. I hope they were helpful to you. These are things I've learned in 49 years on this planet, in this iteration of my lifetime. And they're things that, have helped me grow and develop. They're often things I say, why did somebody sit me down and tell me this when I was 20? But life unfolds in the way that that it was intended to. Life gives you experiences that are intended for your greatest evolution. And so, I take all of these things with stride. There's no ounce of regrets about any of the experiences I've had in my life. And so I hope they were helpful and beneficial to you. Thank you once again for the invitation to be able to join you, to be able to share with your community. And I pray that you take these things, right, and embody them, but also help to teach them to others as well. Ashi.
Ma'am, there are some speeches we listened to, and immediately after the speaker is done, we just clap. Wow, for others. After the speaker is done, you see everybody just stay put, like, we don't want this try. This is one of those types of speech. While you were speaking, my team member had to open the door to tell me, ma'am, are you like, this woman is on fire. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's maybe we should take 1 minute of reflection. I don't know, but you have to go back to work. And I just want to say thank you. Everything you have said, not everything, because I am just in my 30s, so there are some things I am yet to learn. Well, from what you've said, it is preparing the path to success for me. So when I get there, when I get to a situation like that, I would definitely know what to do. There's something you said, die empty, don't die with your potential. Die empty, like everything God has deposited in you, we don't have to die with those things. It is a disservice to humanity. It is like, if you die void of your potential, like, it is just like, it's better you weren't born. It's a bitter truth. God deposited a lot in you, and then you keep them, you hold on to them, and before you know, you will know more. Thank you so much, ma'am. There's something else you said. End your relationship well. This has been it for me for the longest of times. I would make sure I don't end because, like you said, karma is it's not anybody's friend. It will definitely come knocking on your door,
Yeah.
and you don't have any choice. You just have to open. So I have learned that, and there's another one. Practice gratitude in the midst of
Yes.
chaos. Sincerely, that's why I don't know. Many of us, how many of us are on this call now? 18. Please hold on to this. You see this thing called gratitude. It boosts the immune system, like she said, like Barrister said. It will boost you. There was a time I just last year, I was going through a phase like that was when the song, I still got joy in chaos, I got peace that makes no sense. That was when I understood every word in that song. I took my time to listen to that song from the beginning to the end and resonated with, I don't know what's in my eye. I resonated with every line of that song. So there's so many things I've taken note of, so many things. I just can't start stating everything here, but I just want to say thank you. We all know, watch out for the red flags, but we've never heard, watch out for the yellow flags. We've never heard that. I'm just hearing that. Yeah, sometimes we have this warning. It's not just red. Red is when it's already a disaster. Yeah, so those warning, are you sure this is those tiny voices we hear, but sometimes we're just like we go with our emotions. And there's one last thing so I practiced that 2 days ago. I did a professional video for my courses and all of those things. And the audio quality, after doing a professional video, I don't know what's this thing in my eye, but it will not stop me from saying what I want to say. After doing after doing the video, the makeup session, everything, the way we prepare for these things, it came out and the audio was poor.
Wow.
The audio was poor. And I am an effective communicator rather. What am I selling if it's not my voice? I don't know. I was vexed. And the guy would not own up. He said, "Oh, I told you to just do a voiceover so we can do the voice over the video." I said, "Are you talking to Rob? Don't you know that these things take mood?
Yeah.
You have to mood to do these things." I decided not to react. I saw his reply. I was going to say, "No, you don't have to do this. You really don't have to do this." And then I called my digital marketer. I sent him the video. He said, "This is poor." He rejected the video, not like rejected it outright. He said, we can't play with this. We can't do this. This is what you're selling. So can you try to do another video? You don't need all the makeup session. You don't need everything. Just do something simple. Do you know what I did? I channeled that anger.
Wow.
To record another video. It was just me. And I just said, this anger, I'm not going to waste it. I recorded another video. And guess what? This other one came out better than the previous. I don't know how I did. I don't know whether to say it's spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was watching and I was almost in tears. I was like, if this guy hadn't done a poor job, I wouldn't have felt that urge to do something better. So what I'm trying to say is, like Barrister said, don't waste that anger, that emotion. Channel it to something positive. You never can tell you never can tell. Sometimes, or most times, the results will always come out better. Let's not be quick to react. You can, there's something you say recognize the anger. I recognized it, but you don't react to the anger. Thank you so much. You can go on and on and on, how everything you have said I just kept reflecting. For my team member to come in and say, he opened the door. He knows he's not supposed to open the door to interrupt me. He opened the door. Ma'am, this barrister is on fire. I just want to say thank you, ma'am. It is indeed the untold life's truth. We've learned so many. I have learned so many things, and I will not waste this knowledge. That's a promise. I will not waste this knowledge, and I pray that our other participants will not waste, because what is knowledge if it is not applied, if you don't implement everything you've learned? What is knowledge? It will just be void of its purpose. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome. You're
Please,
welcome.
I don't know if you have a few minutes, just a few minutes to take questions, because I know some of us might want to ask questions. I don't know. Does anyone have any question? Yes, please, Miss Kudirat. You've been here from day one. Yes, don't waste the knowledge. Thank you. Okay, so we have Jennifer, we have Miss Toy, Miss Jennifer. So I'll just unmute. Jennifer, I am seeking permission for you to unmute now.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Okay, I want to say thank you to the host, because it took the host to bring amazing speakers to this mind-blowing forum, and it's been amazing, from Lush Ebi to Ife, and then to my amiable barrister Idahosa. I'm a big fan. I love you. I mean, the way you play with words, yet bringing out so much knowledge, your in-depth use of literature to effectively communicate. It's something that I admire so much. It's something that I love so much. And having to have this opportunity to hear you, like right directly, I'm no longer looking at you on Instagram. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you to you. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say you're amazing. I love what you do. You're rare. Your type is not it's not common in our generation. And I want to say a very big thank you for the motivations, even in and out of this meeting. Thank you so much, ma'am. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer.
So many hands. Okay, Miss Toy, your turn.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, please. You might want to respond to that.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just giving gratitude. I was just giving gratitude to you, to your entire community, all of you who took time from your work day to join us today, and for those of you who will listen, even to the replay, I receive all of your words with the love that they were shared. Thank you. I can actually feel the love that you're sending to me. So I appreciate that. And thank you. I mean, life has given me a lot of experiences. And, sometimes, when you're going through the thing, you're just like, how is this going to benefit me in the long run? Like, hey, like how? But then as you start to mature, you recognize that the lesson is not just for you. It's never just for you. It's always about somebody else as well that will benefit from it. So I'm grateful. I'm honored to be able to share, the things that life has taught me with you all as well. So I appreciate it.
Ms. Toyin?
Okay. Good morning, Mrs.
Good morning.
Idahosa. Thank you so much. I'm sincerely overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed, and I'm really touched by your presentation. Sincerely, I've learned so much, and I actually want to say big thanks to our host. You have done so well for us. And recently I was just reflecting on myself, and I was like, I'm the kind of person that wants to please people, want to go all the way. And I discovered that doing this, the people I'm doing it for, I'm not seeing any gratitude from them. So, when I clocked 50, I said, no way. And I looked at it, I said, I'm going to have fun. I'm not going to regret anything. And I'm not going to regret anybody if you like, bring me down. I'm not going to care. I will love who love me, and I will value who value me. So this time around, I'm not going to jump fence for anybody, right? So I just decided to make up my mind. I made up my mind that no way. This year, going forward, this is who I am. Then you take me for who I am. What I cannot achieve last year, I will put my best to it this year to achieve it. So it really challenged me, and I'm so glad you are blessed. Like the word you said, when I looked into the Bible, it said the world is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. Sincerely, what you say that if you don't do what you need to do, your benefactor is actually waiting for us. I am so grateful. I appreciate you. God bless you. That's just my comments. I'm celebrating you. And I don't know if you're on Instagram, you're on whatever social media you are.
Yeah.
I would love to follow you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Catherine. Thank you. I celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Toyin. I appreciate your presence here as well. I'm on Instagram at Rantiade. I'll put it in the chat. I think that's probably where. Is that where you found me? I assume that's where you found you connected. Yeah, that's where you found me.
On Instagram, I saw the videos. I'm like, this is out of this world. This video, I went down to your old videos. I'm like, this woman, and the way you make these words come to life, how you gesticulate, how poetic you sound sometimes. All of those things just, oh no.
Yeah.
You're okay now, Ms. Favor. You have the floor now.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Barrister Elsa. It's a
Favor.
see you, to have you, and to have you teach us here. Thank you, Mrs. Catherine, for this great opportunity. It wouldn't have come to life without you. I just want to ask a question concerning a point you gave. You said stop watering a dead plant. And I just want to ask a question concerning that, because I've been trying to, I don't know, I'm just trying to work on that regarding family. You know, when those plants we're talking about, it's family. How do we deal with it? The rest of it, I've worked with it, because you said something when you were talking. I think you spoke about relationship with God over 10 to 20 times. So I learned that having a relationship with God and having God teach you, the Holy Spirit teach you in person, it's very important. But on this particular part of it, how do we deal with family when family is the plant? How do we deal with it? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Favor. That's a great question, because there's some relationships where you can just say, my dear, double, like I'm done. Yeah, let me cut off. I can move away. I can physically carry myself out of that location. I don't have to engage with you on a regular basis. But even if you're living with your family, or whether you, because you're connected biologically and you have to see them in different spaces, it's important that what you do have control over, and make sure you only focus on the things that you have control over, because you cannot control anybody else or what they're thinking or how they behave. And the only person that you can control is you, right? And so what you can start to do is decrease the access that someone can have to you, right? And yesterday, a few days ago, I did an Instagram live with a friend of mine, and that was based on a meditation that that was based on a meditation that conversation for Instagram live actually started from a conversation that I had with my friend Bankole, and that conversation with Bankole stemmed from a meditation that I had. And in that meditation, I was asking, God showed me that our hearts are a beautiful garden. And so in the meditation, I was seeing just this beautiful garden. And that garden had trees and flowers and all these things that came, from nature. And each thing, each plant or each flower represented something that is already within our hearts, right? So there was a flower that represented love. There was a tree that represented peace. There was another flower that represented hope and joy. And what God was saying to me was that your heart is this beautiful garden that is filled with everything that you potentially will ever need, right? And it is your job as the person who houses this heart, right, to be a gatekeeper, because there was a small fence on the edge of the garden, and it wasn't even a tall fence. It wasn't a wall that went all the way around the garden. It was just a small fence, and I said to God, "What is that? What is that fence for?" And He said that you are the gatekeeper, right? So it means that you have to be able to protect, right, what comes into that garden, right? So you may not necessarily have, because the fence is not, it wasn't high, it wasn't 6 feet tall, so that people, could not climb over. Anybody could easily have just climbed over the fence. It was just small fence. But you as the gatekeeper means that you have to be able to protect yourself, protect your heart from the access that somebody might have to potentially disrupt the state of homeostasis, the state of balance and beauty that is in your heart. And so I say the same thing to you today. You don't have the 6-foot fence or 10-meter, 15-meter fence that will keep your family members out, right? But what you can do is guard your heart, right? And so sometimes that means just limiting the access that you have to the person, right? So even if the person, let's say, and you may not physically be able to limit your access, but you can limit the emotions, the impact of what those emotions will then have on your heart. And this is a little bit complicated to learn, because I'm not saying cut off the person, because again, the person has access. They can actually just step into your garden. But what you want to do is limit the amount of access that they have to you, so that the emotions that they can potentially that can potentially result from the interaction and consistent engagement with them that will then disrupt the balance in your garden is limited, right? So I hope that that is helpful. It might be something that you need to reflect, maybe watch the video back to understand what I'm fully saying. But your heart is a garden. And the way that you deal with family members that are potentially toxic to disrupting the balance in that garden is to limit the access that they have to you, right? And that way you are able to then maintain a level of balance. Another thing I think that you can start to do is to give gratitude, right? And gratitude for me is always very big. I mean, gratitude works in every situation, right? You can, first of all, slow down and appreciate the lessons that you are learning from this toxicity, right? Or whatever the negativity, because there are always going to be lessons. People are always teaching you one of two things, either how you want to be, you want to emulate them, right? You want to be inspired by them, right? And when you're inspired, it means that you are become more of yourself, not inspired to be more like that person. You become more of yourself. You are in spirit. Inspired comes from in spirit with yourself. You are connected to your divinity. That's what inspiration is. Right. So you can either learn how to be from somebody or learn how to not be. I don't want to be like, I don't want to show up like this in this world. I don't want to be how my mother was. I don't want to be how my father was. I don't want to be how that uncle was to me. Right. So you are learning always consistently how to be or how not to be from a person. And so if you're able to pause, learn the lessons from this relationship. What is this person teaching me? What do I not want to replicate in my own children's lives that I saw my mother do, or that I saw my father or my uncle or whoever do? Take the lessons from that. And once you start to focus on gratitude, the lessons that come from gratitude, your perspective on the relationship will change. You might even say, you know what, God, I'm grateful for this person in my life. Thank you for teaching me how not to be. But if you're able to combine giving gratitude with limiting the amount of access that person has to disrupting the homeostasis in your garden, you will recognize that you're able to manage that relationship a little bit better. So I hope that was helpful for you.
Yeah, Favor, are you still on call? Favor?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She has answered the question. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm so grateful. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I would like to advise, this is not a lecture. Thank God it's a virtual lecture. This is something we want to, after now, you don't get to listen to it or watch it again. You want to watch this over and over again. Because for every time you watch it, there's always something to learn. I learned that from this series, Game of Thrones. I've seen that series like 3 times, season 1 to 7. And every time I watch it, there's always something I did not see the previous time that I'm seeing again. So please, let's do well, because at the end of the day, we want to learn from this. We want to learn from her experience, from what she has said, use it to better ourselves, because it's when we have better people, we can have a better nation. That's what I believe.
Yes. Yeah,
when we
absolutely.
have better humans, better people that are reasoning like normal human beings, that's when we can have a better nation. And it begins with you and I. Thank you so much. And Ms. Ebere, please, I'm not stealing the spotlight from you. I'm just, telling them how I feel and letting Barrister know that she has really inspired me. I will take this until I am 49 and beyond.
All right. Thank you all so much for the time. I've appreciated being able to join you today. So thank you all one more time for everything. God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Matt, and God bless you.
All right. Goodbye.
It's been a pleasure to listen to you today. You've been such a blessing.
Thank you.
And before you go, let me just say that when you talked about being connected to divinity, let me just say it's something that is showing all over you. Let me just say that. Yes. So I can see the glory of the Lord all over you. I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much. We do not take you being here for granted. You not just taught us, you poured out yourself. You gave us everything. I mean, you actually spoke from your own personal experience, and we have nothing to say but thank you. A million thanks. Thank you so much. I know you have to go now. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Thank you so much. Thank you. If you're not following her, you heard Rantiade, please kindly follow her. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you once again. Grace and peace be upon all of you. Yes. Okay, great. I look forward to meeting you then. All right. God bless you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. I'm sure you can attest to that. For all of us who were able to join, thank you very much for taking out the time. We know the time was not really convenient somehow, but some of us still made that time to be here. So thank you so much. And I hope you have learned. But like we always say here, it's not just enough to come here and listen, but also to practice some of these truths that we have learned today. And I'm sure we have learned a lot. And as Ms. Catherine has said, some of these things actually need time for us to digest. So let me reiterate what she said. You can come back again over and over and watch this as many times as it takes for some of these things to sink in. There are some things that you need to listen to over and over again for it to sink in, for you to come to that knowing, like the speaker has said. So there's a difference between experiencing something or believing something. There's a difference between believing something and having that experiential knowledge. So I believe that when you listen and listen and listen over and over again, you will come to have that experiential knowledge. Okay, let me stop preaching right there. So thank you so much.
Right. Fire, right? You're connected to the divine at this moment.
All right, so our next session comes up on the 24th of February, which is on Saturday, and we're talking about effective communication. Finally, we're supposed to have it on the 17th, but it was postponed, so now we're having it on the 24th. So I hope you come ready to learn, and you know now how it's been. You have not regretted being here so far. So this session on effective communication will take us even further on the path to success. Thank you once again for joining in. Ms. Catherine, if you have any last words before we call it today.
Yeah, so I really want to appreciate us sincerely. I did not even know we'll have up to this number given the time. And I know that those in my these people, you all are working class, you do 9 to 5 and all of this. I know that my audience are not housewives or sit-at-home people. My audience are workers, career people, yet you made out time to grace this occasion. So we don't take this for granted because you learn, I learn, she learns, he learns. We make the world a better place. So I know that this knowledge you're learning, in one way or the other, I might benefit from it in the future. You never can tell. Yeah, so it is not just me doing everybody a favor. No, you're also doing us a favor by learning because we are, at the end of the day, we are making the world a better place. So thank you all so much. Thank you. We can't wait to have you back on Saturday, the 22nd of February.
24th.
Okay, I just my team member tried to tell me something, but I didn't really comprehend. So Mr. Jess, do you mind coming to say this yourself? Okay, so someone is raising a hand, or is it the old one? Is it the old one? All right, so that's it. Thank you. Thank you all. No more words. Ms. O'Bear, we can end it, right?
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you all on Saturday. Bye.
Please start putting to practice everything you've learned from today. From today, put it to use. Put it to good use. All right. Don't react to negative emotions. Analyze them or recognize them.